myself, so I'm probably yelling, but that should help. So what we're going to do is we're going to go right back and pretend that we're started off with the show again, and I'm going to do something quite funny here. And we're going to bring in the intro music, our favourite song for the show. Just love this song. So normally I have the intro for this, the beginning of some of my videos, and at the end, Mike.
All the birds are making homes inside the evergreens. The
echo's gone.
Clear, with our loved ones close, you can pick out every star without a telescope.
Let's start it again.
So beautiful to see how we have
change. Oh yes, and be the change. That song's about change. We got Mike Van Doozy. We're going for round number 2 from Growing Degrees channel. Mike, please introduce yourself again. Sorry everyone for all those problems, but we need to really kick this off again, and we appreciate your patience.
All right, there we go. I'm Mike Van Doozy from Keep On Growing with Mike Van Doozy. And I do hydroponics. We do things as easy and inexpensive as possible so that everyone out there can have a chance to grow some of their own food. And everybody's saying the sound is better.
Yeah. It was my fault. I'm trying to pass it on the buck to everyone else. Go, not me. But hey, you learn as you go. A few growing pains, and we still got people here. So wonderful. Thanks everyone again for your patience. So we're going to give you 10 top easy gardening growing tips today. I'm going to be talking more sort of soil base, and Mike's going to be talking more hydroponics base. Now, the reason we're doing this is because I'm going to be doing a bit of both this year. Now, I've been in this game, over 2 decades since I think it's 30 years. I can't even remember. Look, I had a gardening run when I was 12, right? So it's like there's so many memories to go back in. But, I studied when I was around about 28, threw myself into college after a motorbike accident, had nothing to do. And thought, well, you better go and learn what you need to know, and gone from there. And look, Mike's been in this game for a very long time. And his classes, would you class yourself as a master gardener, or what would you put yourself for there, Mike?
No, I always just classify myself as a normal guy, just like everybody else.
Right, yeah. But hey, he's humble. He knows how to grow his stuff, mate. Because I know I've been watching him for years. And if you ever get a chance, I'll leave a link in the description down below. You can go and check out his channel later on if you like. And it's very enjoyable content as well. And as I said before, I don't watch many channels, but Mike's one of them, as long as with Marcilla from Learn to Grow, and also my mate Mark up the coast, Self-Sufficient Me. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to roll out one tip after the other. So my first tip, now if you've been listening, was just talking about cuttings in water. So I'm not going to go over that too much again, but you can strike cuttings in water very quickly, like basils and herbs and different things like that, just by striking below the leaf node. Now, Mike will be able to add on to this, because when you do something like this and you put it into his method, it is super fast. It's faster than what I do. And it's a different method. So, Mike, can you share that simple method with the rest of the community here for me, please?
Yes. Basically what we do, the crack key style method of hydroponics, is just growing plants in nutrient solution and not using pumps, aeration, all the stuff that goes with traditional hydroponics, and try to break it down, like we said, so that it's simple so everyone can use it. So pretty much you're putting stuff in a nutrient solution, kind of keeping the level up, keep an eye on that. And I try to grow fast growing leafy greens, stuff that you can turn over fast and just keep growing in succession, so that I always have a supply of, some kind of food coming at any one time.
Yeah. So one of those ways, instead of germinating seed, is to actually take cuttings and pre-propagating. So they call it cloning really, but hey, it's just propagation. Right. When I grew up, it was just called a cutting. I remember my mum stealing cuttings off the neighbour's yard. And it was so embarrassing. I'd be walking down the street and she'd go, just hang on a sec, love. I'm just going to have the scissors out of my bag and snip into water. And I'd be going, you shouldn't be doing that. She goes, they don't care. And she'd save a lot of money that way. It was her guerrilla gardening style. So I saw it done right from the very beginning, her being very frugal and growing lots of plants. Now,
Yeah.
another way, Mike, which we both do, right, and it really can be expensive and it can be cheap and easy, is microgreens, right? It really depends on how you do it, how you go about it, if it becomes a heavy expense or a cheap, easy method to do it. Now, how I do it, two different ways. I just do it sometimes in water or cocoa fiber mat or in a little bit of compost, and I just put the seed down and just sprinkle a little bit of vermiculite over the top and I spray it. I have a bottom water feeding system, and within the 7 days sometimes to 2 weeks, I'm harvesting food and mixing it with my other salads. Now, you have a very unique way of growing it, different to me, and it's really interesting, guys. So have a listen to how Mike grows his microgreens.
Well, if you check out my channel, I've been if you're watching my videos, you know that I'm before lockdown and that, this past year, I was on the road a lot, so I'm always gone, and I always want to grow my own food, but I'd start something and then leave and come back, and something would have happened to it. So I'd figure out some ways that I could leave my garden for a length of stay and still be able to grow something. And microgreens, as you know, pretty much you've got to, because you're not heavy watering them, you've pretty much got to take care of them like 2 or 3 times a day. And so what I did was I set up a self-watering kind of with a wick, and we'll have the containers and we'll have a wick and it kind of wicks up. I use soil or grow pads. And then you can go ahead and I plan out my microgreens, cover them up, and just leave them for like about 3 days, whenever they germinate. And I uncover them and then just let them go. And usually by the time, it depends on what size container you got, by the time it uses up that water, the microgreens have grown, and I haven't been watering them. Like you said, the bottom watering is better, instead of spraying them and you get issues with mildew and that.
Yeah.
This way it's watering from the bottom and soaking up into the soil, and I'm able to like start microgreens and not mess with them, for a majority of the time.
Yeah. Could you just pull your microphone just a tiny bit closer, please, to us a little bit? Just I've turned mine down a bit just so we can be more even. I think mine's just a bit too loud. That's probably one of the problems. So yeah, that's really interesting. So look, I've been watching, guys, and there's masterclass ones of microgreens, and they just soak the bottom in a tray with no way for the water to soak up, sump underneath, and then spray it on top. And every time you do that, the plants are falling over, and it's more susceptible to molds and things, right? You really only want to spray sort of to stop the transpiration rate. You want that water, from my opinion, you want the water sumping up from down below, like you've got the sponges and the mats and things that hang, so the roots hang down and soaks up like a little wick and brings the water up that way, and then they can grab what they want, and they're not getting knocked over with sprays and things, because microgreens can be very light and small and tiny, and depending on what you're growing, they can fall over quite easy, don't they? So how did you come up with that method? Like, what was your thinking when you decided to make the wick with the little thing? And what video can guys go and watch? What's the name of the video if they want to go check it out?
Let's see.
If you can remember.
Really sure. I was going to say, I think I've got one on no soil growing or something, a playlist, and just check out. I got one playlist that says my most popular videos. It'll be in there.
Yeah, or they can go to your channel and type in microgreens in the search bar. They find it that way, yeah?
Yeah. And years ago when I first started, watching videos and that, when I was watching Marty's, like I said, I watched Marty from the very beginning. Sharing is caring. Yeah. And I saw somebody had made one video, and they kind of used what they did was, the one-off containers when you go to the store and you buy like lettuce or spinach and stuff in it. And they had cut that and tried to do a little wick, and they only had like 2 or 3 videos online, and then they hadn't been around for like years, but that video was still up, and I saw it and I tried it with the little containers, and that worked out well, but there's a real flimsy. So
Right.
you did it like once, and the weight of the microgreens would, it'd be dipping down, so some wouldn't get watered as much, and there's some problems with that. So I just found better containers to use.
Oh, yeah, cool,
And,
cool. So
Right.
it's like a bit of trial and tribulation, and then eventually, it's a really cool method for growing microgreens. So I do highly suggest that you check it out if you're into growing microgreens. So we're talking about simple and easy with microgreens. Like I might be stealing the thunder here, but cheap seed, I think if you can get cheap seed, then you can grow microgreens quite cheaply. And I think Mike might have some tips there, but my tip for cheap seed is going to spice shops and looking for different ones. So you mightn't get everything that you need, but are some of the ones there, like fenugreek, I think you can get there. You can get like all the different legumes that you can sprout. And like I think you could even get like, what do they call it? Like coriander, which you guys call, what do you call? Cilantro, right? So you can get that. You don't get the seed, you won't get as many germinate, but you get a lot more seed to play with. So have you got any tips on doing it cheaply, Mike, for microgreens?
Well, that was a good one. I like to go to, like you said, the Indian marts, especially. They have a whole lot of spices, and like I said, the
Yeah.
fenugreek is awesome. It's also called methy or something. I think we call it over here. Um, but the Asian markets, I've actually got mung beans and sprouted like bean sprouts. Like I said, it's not going to be as good as the ones the expensive ones, but in a pinch, that's always cool.
Yeah, heaps
I would,
cheaper.
yeah, lots cheaper. And if anything, if you find something that you really like, I'd buy it in bulk. You can get, if you're going to be growing a lot of like broccoli sprouts and that, the spicy ones, you can buy those actually in the markets. The mustard seeds and that are like dirt cheap,
Yeah.
and so I've bought several from the different markets. Um, but yeah, I would buy bulk if it's something uh, that you really like, and the
The
other ones I
mustards are
would go ahead
great.
and try to find different ones.
Sorry,
Yeah,
let me cut in. Mustards are awesome. Lots of flavour. You throw in lots of seed. And you don't. Would you recommend that people use a little bit of hydroponic in the water, or just using water?
but what I do is with mine with the wick, I actually put a little bit of soil that wicks into the soil, and I use seed starting mix. And we over here in the states, we've got an organic. It's from Jiffy. It says an organic seed starting mix. So it's got a little bit of nutrients in it to start off. So that makes it optimal for sprouting your seeds.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to grow them a little bit longer, where if I want to put them into something like this, like a downspout, another container, I might put a little bit in there. But with the wick, it doesn't wick the nutrients up, over the whole container. So the ones around where the wick is going down, they'll grow long roots, and those will start to grow more. So you kind of get a kind of dip in your microgreens.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cool. Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm going to actually, because we've brought out 2 tips so far, and we're trying to sort of like look at the cheap and easy side of these things as well to save you some money, but get really good high quality and food. Now I'm going to hit up Mike because he said he's ready for the challenge. So we're going to hit him up for tip number 3 and see what he comes up with. And he might even ask me a couple of questions, right? I don't want to run out this is sort of like a joint show that we're doing here on the Marty's Garden Show. And occasionally I'm going to be over at Mike's show, so you might head over and then check that out one day. We'll let you know when that's going to happen. But yeah, have you got a tip number 3 for us, Mike?
I've got one is one of my favorites is go vertical.
Wow.
And if you're, as far as keeping things easy, one thing we get excited about is that Dad?
That diggity dog, Dad. We call him Digger. There you go, Dig.
Awesome, awesome. But yeah, I like to go vertical. But like I said, when people, they get excited about gardening, and well, it's like spring, and you look out there and you get out the tiller and want to till up your whole yard, and some of them, some people it comes easy, but some people it's kind of difficult, and some people don't have a yard. Lots of people live in condos or apartment buildings, and if you go vertical, I've grown like something like 200 plants in like 4 square feet,
Yeah.
like 4 foot wide and 1 foot by going up.
Yeah.
So so of course, you don't have any weeding and everything. It's going up the wall, so it just makes it really simple. Instead of trying to take up your whole backyard or your entire, whatever space you get, just go ahead and go vertical.
Yeah, yeah. There's lots of different ways. Like you can just go into Pinterest, go onto YouTube here, into Google, and look all those different ones. Lots of companies selling all different types of vertical systems. I'm looking at vertical at the moment, and something that that's why I've got some interest with hydroponics, and it's not so much cheap, but it's very easy to do, and it becomes cheaper over time. But I'm sort of keeping that up my left sleeve at the moment as we speak to bring that forward. But that's a really good way to do it, I think, Mike. And I'll add one thing to that is, like the upside down bucket tomato gardens. Like they have they turn the bucket upside down and the plant hangs out the bottom and then runs back up. So if you've got some way to hang or something, and like those, those pots that have got the microfiber at the bottom or the cocoa peat fiber, hanging strawberries up, and you could do that with lettuces and things as well. So you could go in soil, compost, potting mixes, or maybe a cocoa fiber and a hydroponics. Yeah, have you ever tried that? Growing in like a mat like that, like one of those bowls. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's like a wire basket, and you can put with the cocoa. Yeah, I've done that before, and not really with the hydroponics, but my wife. We still, even though I'm big into hydro and that, my wife still loves, like, some plants just grow better in soil.
Yeah.
So we still have like a little traditional herb garden, so she'll have some planters, and we'll have things growing around because, it's just cool to have, whenever you want to cook and you just go out and grab some oregano and thyme and sage and everything. So we've got a little of everything.
Yeah, excellent. I've seen that. I've seen Keely, and you guys show that from time to time. And Keely, his wife, actually has a channel as well. And do you want to just mention that quickly? Because she's doing some great work behind the scenes here. We'll give her a bit of a plug if anyone's interested in that on Keely's channel, Mike, please.
Oh, is the rock painting one?
Well, I didn't know she got a rock painting on, but anyway.
You don't? Well, yeah, she's got an art one where she does like
I know that one,
arts and crafts and murals and everything. So I think that's called art with Keely V or something. But she's been doing murals and faux finishes and that for about 20 years.
Yeah, amazing.
So we figured, just go ahead and start showing people. So she started her own channel too.
Oh,
We're
cool.
a YouTube family.
Yeah, it's nice. I always love seeing where Keely's the commenting on being involved. So hi Keely from the background there, and we've got someone across here. Climate Cold said, "I'm just going to get this." Sometimes the link isn't coming across for some reason. There we go. Is it popping up? There we go. Cold climate tropical fruits. Now I believe he's down in Canberra. This fella, nice bloke. He says, just don't buy a crappy eBay or Amazon kit. Now, I've bought some good things from eBay, I must say, but you got to be careful. You've really got to sort of search and check. What I do is I always read like the reviews and stuff, and find out what's good and look how long they've been in there, how much stuff they sold and things like that. And my little solar kit, had it going for a while, just died the other day. It cost me $10. I got me $10 value out of it. It's a cheap little system. But I'll buy something better next time. But I knew it. $10, you just know, sometimes. Hey, Marty, finally got to see a live show again. Hope all is well. How's your avocado tree going? Video out next week. You will see the avocado tree. So I'm going to fire away with the next tip. Potting mixers, premium potting mixers, cheap potting mixers. Well, what you pay for is what you get. If you get a cheap one and you want to save some money, and you've got a worm farm, throw some worm castings in it, 10 to 20%, and a bit of extra compost that you got lying around. Another 10, 20% into that, and you got a pretty good potting mix there. Now, this might be a bit of a tricky one for you, Mike, because you're in the other direction of away from soils, but I'm just going to throw the next tip straight over to you, and I think that puts us now. I'm really bad at counting. So are we at number 6 now? Are we at number 6? Or is that number 5?
Maybe 5.
Maybe we'll go for number 5 because we can roll these off. And if we don't get to 10, well, so be it.
Yeah. But in the same thing token as what you're talking about with the soil, hydroponics is basically the same thing too. We're getting nutrients and putting it in water. And unless you live somewhere where there's a hydroponic shop like around the block from you, if you're ordering online, you got to kind of watch out. I like to order powders because you're not paying for shipping for a lot of liquid. If you order from Amazon, if you're a Prime member, you get free shipping. So, I think it's up to so many pounds or whatever. But check around. There's a lot of different nutrients out there, and there's a bunch of different prices. And I found one, the Master Blend, that works for me, and I found a good supplier, and I use that. But there's also, somebody was talking about Amazon. You got to kind of watch on that because anyone can sell on Amazon. So what they do is they order in bulk from somewhere, break it up into smaller portions. Like they'll buy like 50-pound bags and break it up into 1-pound bags, and then they'll mark that up.
Yeah.
And price will be like 10, 20, 30. You don't know what the prices are. They're just competing with each other. So kind of watch out for that. If I say I use Master Blend and you just go on Amazon and look it up, the first one that might pop up might be like a really expensive one. So kind of shop around and do your homework.
Yeah, that's a good point there. Now, I was just visiting an expert hydroponics guy yesterday, and he was saying in Australia it's really easy to make them up. You just got to have the licenses to buy the nitrates. So, it's, like, I didn't really know that. So, yeah, basically anyone can get in on the game if you got a bit of labelling and know how to mix these things, right? But, so anyway, we've got Jojo No. He made it here when you were alive. And greetings from Los Angeles. G'day, Jojo. And Candy Crush Addict has just arrived. Good morning, Marty and Mike. Candy Crush is from WA, I believe. So she's 3 hours behind, 7 o'clock in the morning there. And if you're coming in late in the show, we'll just introduce you again. This is my good friend from the States, Mike Van Doozy. From what channel are you from, Mike?
Keep on Growing with Mike Van Doozy.
Yeah, and he does small space urban hydroponics using simple, easy to grow methods. And he's got lots of videos out there, big library. If you want to learn something like that and you're interested in maybe going with the change and, doing a bit of both, like I'm doing at the moment, mucking around, I figured, I've been in the organics and sort of like sustainable gardening and that for so long now. Now, I want to just mention why I've got the interest is because the forward future thinking with the systems now and how it's moving into, because I'm a sustainable agricultural guy, how these systems are moving into the cities. And I've got to follow this all the time. I follow agriculture and I'm watching all these systems going in and they're getting it so clean now, so pure. And the only thing is that with those big systems is they're a bit inorganic when you walk into them. You don't feel the earth under your ground. You don't have the birds around you, and all that type of stuff. But to bring food into the cities by 2050 with the population the way things are going, this is the way. And for me to compete as a micro farmer into the future and keep costs down, I need to learn both models and intertwine both of them together to actually be sustainable. And the thing is actually, unless you're going really heavily into sustainable agriculture and you've got a lot of space, it's just not efficient for small space gardeners so much. And maybe with the microgreens, you can still do it that way. But if you want to start growing leafy greens and lettuces and tomatoes and cucumbers and things, that's just the way it's going, guys. And unfortunately, they're not getting the prices down for organics. So then people don't buy it and it doesn't end up on the shelves. So I'm looking at these type of things. But I've got something very exciting to show you here. And I'm going to bring this up later in the show. So stay around for this. This is bringing mycorrhizae and beneficial bacteria into all mediums. Every medium. Who would have thought that was possible? Mike didn't know about it. I mentioned to him before. I thought for sure he'd know. So actually, they only discovered 2017 that mycorrhizae, how it functions in the soil, right? So we haven't known a lot about it. It's very new sort of news, really, when you're talking 4 years in the whole spiel of things. And look, we'll bring across another friend here. I like that his vids are about doing it without throwing money away. Well, we've got a lot of people on my channel, and Mike's the master at that, for sure. And Cracky can be one way to save a lot of money. Now, we've got our friend here. This is Mike's wife, Keely, and she says she no longer feels guilty of all plastic containers from my almond milk. Using them to throw this away is awesome. Look, I'm getting those containers, the almond milk containers, and I'm cutting the lid off, and I'm putting a bit of compost in the bottom, or a little bit of that cocoa fiber mat, or the hemp mat, and just sprinkling seeds on that at the moment. That's what I'm doing, a bit of fun. Haven't shown that, but yeah, and then you just harvest from them, throw them away, or clean them out and use them again, going over and over. Now, you had a recent video on your channel that I was on, and it was to do with plastics, right? So
right.
There was a lot of people are worried about growing things in plastics and plastic pots, whether it's hydroponically or growing in soil and water. And a friend of yours made a great discovery. And can you share that with us, please?
It was just someone, he took a sample from his hydroponics and actually sent it off to water testing, and all the different things that you hear that you're supposed to be worried about with hydroponics, or you're supposed to be actually with water and plastic, as far as like drinking, just even like out of our bottled water and that. He did a test, and basically everything came back like with like trace amounts of like hardly anything, like 1/1000th of whatever the allowable percentage of something is. So it's like barely hardly anything in there. And Marty brought up a good point too, that someone had said that the plants, even if something's in there a little, that the plants can't uptake it. And so it kind of takes away a little bit of the fear, because we've been in this for like the last decade, being really afraid of plastic. But what me and Marty were talking about was that if we can find ways, like Keely said, to reuse things over and over instead of just one off, just containers where we just use it once and toss it in the landfill, that plastics really aren't that bad right now. It's what we have, and it's an excellent, thing to work with.
Yeah, it's very much so. Right, we're going to move into tip number, I think we're up to number 6, so I just got to do as I do, all the YouTubers do. I've got to make sure I'm in the screen here. Tip number 6. And so I'm just going to talk about like raising plants with seed. Everyone goes to like the shop and they'll buy like a container. It'll have 5 plants in it or something like that. And if you can get your seed raising down and spend a bit of time on learning how to raise seed, you get 20 to 30 times more. You get 100 seeds for what you get for 4 or 5 plants at the same price. And, it's just a matter of sort of understanding seeds need heat, warmth and water to germinate. So you can germinate them on a little bit of tissue in a plastic bag, like a Ziploc bag, in a warm spot on top of the fridge, or even like in the cooler times on top of your water heater, where your hot water system, because that keeps a nice temperature, in your window or something like that, or in a drawer where it's getting some type of warm spot, and bring it out. It doesn't need light until it germinates, and then we sort of move from there. You grow your seedling, start it out and slowly introduce it to the light. Don't bring it out into heavy sun straight away. You slowly introduce it, keep it moist, not overly wet, and boom, you save a lot of money by learning how to grow your own seed. I've got a little course on worm farming and seed raising in the Worm Wranglers members area. Something you can look at, but you don't have to do it. It's just another way to grow food. Now, Mike, have you got any tips there that you could add to that?
Yeah. What's that? Somebody, Aussie Stoner's channel, top of the fridge. Yeah, that's a nice little warm spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, if you can grow from seed, you get a whole lot more, especially with micros. There's, within a little container, you've got hundreds and hundreds of plants. But if you go up to the shop and you buy, over here, like 6 plants, really small, are like $6 or $7, and a good sized plant is over $10.
Yeah.
But you can buy a heap of seeds, with that. And the one thing though, easy would be to go get a transplant and just pop it in the system. But then all you see is like a plant going from this size to this size, right? But when you take something from seed and you sprout it and you see it turn into a little tiny plant with the cotyledons and that, and then it turns into little microgreen and baby greens. You're watching something and that you helped do that. You took something from a seed and actually grew a plant. That's a little more satisfying in that. It's a lot more fun.
Yeah, right. I'm just dropping a couple of comments in here for people to read at a time, so they're not reading
Yeah.
it in the side thing. So what I wanted to do is go back to the cutting side of things. Now, I've got some mint here. This is all just in water. Now, once it got a bit of root, I actually put just a drop of sort of hydroponics in there. You can see these rooting sort of stuff coming up here. Now, what you can do is a lot of plants that strike in water. You know, you've got a lot of Asian greens will do it, like the kangkong will do it. Also, Vietnamese coriander, anything that's sort of like that loves a lot of water. And some of these plants, like the mints and things, they strike so easy in water and so fast, like in days sometimes when it's warm. Now, I mentioned that I had something secret for you guys. Now, this is a mycorrhizae fungi, right? And it's also got all the beneficial bacteria in it. And guess what? You can sprinkle a little bit of that on your roots and the roots just go boom. And it attaches to the roots and helps the plant take up sugars and photosynthesize and all. It's like in the ground, but you can put this into aquaponic systems. You can put it into potting mixes. You can put it into hydroponics as well and have a symbiotic system. Unbelievable. Didn't know this existed for hydroponics. Blew my mind away. And I'm going to do some trials coming up in little Jiffy Pots with no mediums whatsoever, no nutrients at the beginning, and just put a bit of this on it and see what it does. Apparently it attaches to the roots. 1 little teaspoon, 35 litres. Goes a long way apparently. It's not cheap though. We're not going to put this into the cheap thing, but over a long time, it was $65. Be interesting to see how this goes. So it actually sort of almost brings hydroponics into organics. Now that is
Awesome.
it's a bit. I'm still trying to get my head around it, right? But doing the research looks like a lot of fun. So getting back to what we're talking about, the cuttings, Mike. Another way to save money is like, say for example, you grow lots of basil. You eat a lot of basil. You take the basil cuttings. They get a little root in water, and then you stick it in some cracky. What happens then, mate?
It explodes. Is if you like pesto and you like just all different things you can use with basil. I took like a 16-gallon tote and I put about 2 or 3 cuttings into each hole. I put 4 holes in there, and this thing just had huge amounts of basil. And you take it and you can harvest most of it, or you can harvest one plant at a time. Leave the roots in there. You can keep picking off of it, but I went ahead and harvested and had like 3 or 4 different harvests. I actually grew an entire thing of basil without even having to refill the container any.
Yeah.
So it's just plant it all out, and boom, before you know it, you've got like basil all over the place.
Yeah, so you can start like with lots of plants or one mother plant. Like if you've got one mother plant and as it's growing, you start cutting cuttings. If it's warm enough, they're going to shoot off. And then you just keep going and going and going. And really, in all reality, if you got the right season, you could have never a never-ending supply. So say, for example, you spend $4 on a basil plant. How much pesto could you have for that $4? And now that is and if you start from a seed, we're talking cents on the dollar, right? So that's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. Now, Mike, you've got a special way of using a certain type of sponge. And I think we're going to throw that in at number 7. Or number 8, it could be. Has anyone lost count? I've lost count, but let's throw it in there. Let them know what you do with those sponges, Mike.
Let's see. So you're talking about like the pool noodle?
Yeah, the pool noodle.
You want? Let me grab one right here.
I didn't want to give away your thunder. Yeah, grab one, man.
I don't know if you guys there have it.
Yeah, we got them. Hey, g'day, O'Donnell's Aussie Homestead. Michael, yeah, how's it going, mate? Our moderator here today. He didn't know that we had the show coming on. So thanks for coming, mate. Great to see you here.
Alrighty, I'm back. If anybody's into hydroponics, they know what a cloning collar is. and basically that's just polypropylene that kind of little disc that you hold your plants. And I got into hydroponics. I went over. I started just like everybody else. You go down to a hydroponic shop or you look up online, and they say you need net cups, you need some kind of grow medium, you need blah 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 blah, all the stuff. And so it was ending up being a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I was spending like hundreds of dollars to grow $30 worth of lettuce or something. I was going, something's not working right. So I kept trying to find cheaper ways. And one thing with the collars, Keeley, I was using different things. I was using foam from the craft shop, like the little sponge cushions that you got. I started using the yoga mats. I cut those and used those for a little while. And then Keeley saw the pool noodles. I don't know if y'all have these there. These are, the kids here use them in the pool. They're just kind of like, they're not a flotation device, but they're just kind of play with them and they whack each other in the head and, and they can't hurt each other.
Yeah.
But Keeley saw that then and she said, that looks like the cloning collars. So I took them and they're really easy to cut. So we take them and cut it. And out of this one, we get them, we've got a dollar store here. So we get this for $1, right? So we cut little 3/4 to 1 inch inserts out of it. You get about 50 of them out of one of these. So you get 50 for $1. So these come out to about 2 cents a piece.
Yeah.
So we're saving a lot of money. So I was like, cool, I don't mind, if you use this. I've already used them 2 or 3 times too, but if you don't and you have to start over, you're talking about 2 cents, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
that's cheap.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I look like a crazy man whenever it comes, because everybody likes green. We're doing YouTube videos. If you're doing it at home, you can use whatever color you want, but it kind of makes it look, nice that everything's all one color. So
Yeah.
I'll come out of the Dollar Tree with armful, like 30 or 40 of them, and all green. And
I'm going to go dive in the pool with 30 or 40 of them.
Yeah.
You float on like a raft.
Yeah, trying to shove them in the car.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the season, when it starts to turn into fall, if there's any of these left, they go on a sale, so they're even cheaper. So I'm like loading up as soon as they go on clearance, it's like I'm packing up the car with them. So I got a whole stack of them over there.
Yeah, yeah. So what we're talking about here is actually like the spot to put the clone in, or a little plant inside so it holds it. You might have rock wool or perlite or like a clay pebble or something down below, or a cocoa fiber, but it holds the plant in place. And sometimes like in a pipe, so you've got like they're called NFTs, I believe, right? You stick that into the NFT, is that right? Which is a long pipe, Mike. So
right.
That's a great tip. I still haven't used them yet, and I plan to definitely next time I go to the dollar shop to get some. I think you've got an NFT behind you there, which is another cheap way to grow, right? So
yeah, that's just so you can see the pool noodle. This is fake plants here because it just sits in the back here. But
they look real. I thought they were real for a second.
Awesome. But that's all we're doing is just using that like a cloning collar. And those roots are brown because this is actually, it's floor department was supposed to be in dirt.
Yeah.
But basically, we're just using it to hold the plant. We take it, I cut a hole in your container, you put your nutrient solution, and you just set that right in there like that, and then just set it up on a shelf and just let it go.
Yeah,
So
it's awesome.
That's what we use the pool noodle for.
Yeah, a few people are saying here they like that idea, and this, we've got pool noodles is very useful. I use a ring like you to crack macadamia nuts from the shell so it doesn't fly everywhere. Look, another way of using it, saving some money on the pool noodle instead of whacking them over your friend's head as they walk past, or splashing them in the water. Going, you all try and jump on one pool noodle and then you all sink.
Yeah.
When they first come out, let me try. So they're great product, and I'm definitely going to be using those myself again. So I'm just throwing on a couple of things that people are saying here quite quickly because we've got a bit of action going on. You can slice poo noodles with a bread knife, easy, yeah. And what do we got here from Aussie Stoners channel? That name, man.
Yeah.
just be careful. We don't like to talk about billies or smoking or anything like that. But like if you're into the cannabis, cool, good, no problems. Just try to keep it to a low level. You know what I mean? So we don't want to freak any of the older crew. Wild range of people here, from kids to adults. So in Australia, it's still illegal, right? So we've got to be a bit careful about what we say and do. But welcome and awesome to have you here. Now, they're saying, how do you slice your ones up, mate? Do you use she says a bread knife here, so you're using a really sharp knife or a little saw, or what are you doing?
Yeah, a bread knife is really works really well, a serrated one.
Okay.
I actually have a long razor, and I've kind of did a makeshift thing, so I'm a little different because I use a lot of them. I go through hundreds and hundreds myself, but I also sell those downspouts on my channel. And
Right.
I include like a dozen of them in each box. So every order, so I've got to cut like a lot of them.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I got a long razor, and I hooked up a wooden handle to it and taped it so it's safe. And the razor just like slices through it like
Chop,
butter.
chop, chop.
So yeah, and I'll just sit and watch like one of your videos or something and be chopping.
Don't be
through 'em.
tired. Don't be tired while you do it.
I needed like a whole garbage bag full of it.
Yeah. I've got the next one. So we're at number 8 now. This is like when one of our places, I think it's called Woolies, and they bring out this little seed raising kit. You get a little bit of paper and a little bit of cocoa fiber pot and a little cocoa pod, and you put it in water, soaks up, you put your paper on top of the seeds, and it germinates. Now, I throw away the seeds that I don't want, and I keep these, fill them up with a bit of water. I put a bit of worm cast in there, and let them go. And then I just plant the whole thing out. And they give away like 10 of these at a time, once a year for the kids. And I'll show you what I bought yesterday. That was 30 cents. So I bought 20 of them for $6. Now, when I go shopping and spend more than $50, they give me 10 of these, or 5, I don't know. You just ask for more. You just go, oh man, my kid loves gardening, and they just give you a big handful if they got heaps of them, But yeah, 30 cents, which is still cheap for raising seedlings. It's a little Jiffy pot. You see a little hole there. So you just put that in water. It soaks up to a big plug. Put your little seed in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle it with a bit of this water stuff to get the roots to just go mental on it. Set up all the mycorrhizae, and they reckon you get 20 to 30% bigger root systems really quickly. So someone mentioned that these, like the big jar, this is $300. This is the small jar, was $65, and it's a US product, I think, so it's probably imported, but you have to be really careful with it to make it go a long way. So that's my tip. I think we're up to number 9 now. It's the little Jiffy Pots. If you can get hold of those, it's a good way to raise seedlings, and you can go either hydroponic into the soil or into the ground with one of these things, right? So
Yeah,
good little way to garden.
nice. Rosemary Ryan said we use an electric bread knife. Yeah, that's cool too. I actually harvest my pea shoots and my sunflower sprouts. I grow them in small containers, and I just take the electric knife and it just cuts it. They all fall off.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And those things are like $3, like in the thrift shop now. You can find them everywhere.
Got an interesting point here from Scott King. Personally, I dislike Jiffy Pots as I feel they never degrade, as it's a little like fishing nets. Love the micros. Yeah, right. I've found that mine have degraded because it's usually it's just cocoa fibre, right? But I think it depends on the net that's on the outside. Now this is just paper on the outside of this, so that'll break down. But it's interesting to say that, Scott. So I'm going to keep an eye open on that a little bit more. Have you found that they break down and disappear, Mike? That you use these from time to time, right?
I did. The ones that I had didn't really have like that fishnet stuff. It was more of a, I don't know if it looked a little like burlap or,
Right.
it was a little bit more compostable than that.
Yeah, some of them don't have a compostable. And Scott's right. You've got to watch out for which ones. And maybe it's the brand Jiffy that the net thing doesn't break down on the outside. So, yeah, keep that in mind, guys. That's really important, I believe. So thanks for mentioning that. So when you're raising your seedlings, what methods do you use, Mike, to raise seed?
Just keeping microgreens growing around, like what we were saying, like my little self-watering containers. I just keep different varieties going at different times, and then that way, I can eat some of those. And then if we harvest a couple of downspouts or a cracky container, then we just rinse it out, put some new nutrients in it, and then just go grab our microgreens and pop those in and just let it be.
Yeah, right. So you're doing something very similar to me, which I call the ABC method. So you grow as a microgreen, you can harvest some of those, then you grow it a little bit further as a baby leaf. So that's the ones that will grow through. And then you can harvest, have some as a mature plant. So you get food starting from almost 1 week onwards into like 6 weeks, don't you? So it's a great way to grow. And that's cheap and pretty easy, right? So that sort of falls into that thing. Now, people that are coming in late again to the show, we've got 25 people watching, 22 thumbs up. We've got a thumbs down. We don't normally get thumbs downs on the Marty's Garden Show. So what we're going to do, people that have done the thumbs down, we're going to hit them with a triple whammy thumbs up, guys. Let's get it. We normally run. We've got 27 people watching. We go for above the 27 to show them that we show the love. Shows YouTube that we're actually digging the show too, right? So Mike's going to throw out another tip because he's up for the challenge, and I reckon he's going to have another one for me. He's been thinking about it.
For the thumbs down, that was probably for me.
Oh, was it? I've got a couple of enemies, a couple of arch enemies. You only got to mention one or two things. They're like, oh, I hate that. And boom. But that's okay. Everyone's welcome to their own opinion. And but we like to push the thumbs up. So we're at 27 thumbs up, 28 people watching. It's a game that we play here on the show. And I forgot to mention it. So if you're going to split soon, make sure you do the thumbs up too, guys. And we've got Keely, Art with Keely V says, we make our mats to start seedlings on using leftover egg cartons. Could you explain further on that, please, Mr. Mike Van Doozy?
Keely's taking my tips. Or whatever.
We'll put that at number 9. Number 9.
Okay. Well, you know what?
We'll put that at number 9, Keely. Thank you very much for that. And yeah, awesome, guys. We are smashing it on the thumbs up now since I said that. And yeah, we're at 30 thumbs up. 28 people watching now. We're a little bit ahead of you guys. So sometimes the numbers can change.
Because it's getting better. Right at the end, right?
Yeah.
But here's the one thing is my tip is to recycle and to use things that, that's if you want to go cheap and easy, don't go out and buy tons and tons of expensive equipment and containers and all of that. But what Keely was talking about was this is made out of egg cartons that they sell at the store. And Marty, you've used some of these with your worms and that.
Yeah.
And we just blended it up. There's no glue or anything in this. I just blended it up, put it on a screen, and then let it sit in the sun. And we've got hydroponic grow pads that are kind of expensive over here. And we've always got these laying around because we're using these. So we've got a whole stack of these. So I said, that looks like same kind of, it's absorbent. So we saved a lot of money. So instead of buying these, we just blend these up, set them in the sun. That's free, so you can recycle your egg cartons or anything that's like this, compostable, recycled, secondary use cardboard. And so that's just like recycling. And another thing, this is a new one, it's food prep container, but you guys do this all the time, the little takeaway, right? You go and order food. I don't know how y'all have it there, Marty, but it's without the slots. So we get takeaway food like this.
Yeah.
Right? And then what I do is I cut little slots in here with a soldering iron, and that's where we slip the wick. And we take these and flip them over, right? And then put a little soil up here on the top, and that's what we grow our microgreens in.
Yep, so the wick goes over, long, and down in so people can understand it.
Right. Yep. So what you do is just put paper towels through here and down in here and fill that with water. You set that on there, and then that way the water, capillary action, will just soak it up, and it'll put a little bit of water at bottom waters your soil. And then you can have your microgreens growing on the top, and that's how you do it without, sitting there and having to spray or wash them mist them every, couple of hours. But any kind of containers that you all use and all that, my place is a mess because I keep showing you now, I'm just throwing it down. So I'm going to have to clean up.
Yeah, but I think it's really great that you recycle a lot, and you're using what's around, and it just shows people that you don't have to have all this fancy stuff, that you can actually grow in almost anything as long as you've got some type of container. Show us what you got there too, please,
Right.
Mike.
This is just noodles come in that. A little cheap. It's like a buck. You just take it and throw a little water in it, pop it in the microwave.
Yeah,
And we had a bunch of these. I have some kids too. They eat a ton of them. So we had these laying around, and I take some and just use a soldering iron, put some holes, and I grow peas, pea shoots, and sunflower sprouts in there. So this is something that usually went into the recycling. And right now they stopped recycling around here too because so many people are sick they can't get it. So if you toss these out, they actually go in the landfill. So I've got hundreds of these because we eat it. So instead of going in the landfill, you grow your own food and it's free. You don't have to go out and buy anything. All you need is your seed. If you want to, you can go ahead and put your grow mat there and grow stuff like, lettuce, your smaller seeds so they don't fall through. But your bigger things like corn and peas and sunflowers, I just grow them right in there.
can I ask a
And you water
question,
them.
please? One sec. I don't understand how the
Yes.
water soaks up through. So it's sitting in the water, is it, or?
Yeah, that's just like what you do is I'll start off. If I just put peas in here, I just water it from the top and the water will drain down to the
Yeah.
bottom.
Yeah,
And once they sprout, they'll start going towards the bottom, start looking for the water.
yeah,
And then once the roots all come out the bottom there, all you have to do is just water from the bottom.
yeah.
And then
Brilliant.
just keep that filled up.
Yeah.
And then you take the electric bread knife, like he was talking about, you go, and it cuts them all off.
Electric bread knife. I'm scared of eating like that. I'll cut myself. Especially if I'm
Yeah, you be careful with that.
Especially if I'm lacking sleep that night.
So is that a good tip? Recycling, everybody give thumbs up.
Oh, mate, that's a hot tip. I love it. Anything to do with recycling, as long as it's not looking too junky, and it starts looking all sort of crappy, then it's sort of like, then I'll get rid of some stuff and bring in some newer stuff. But I think it's, like in this day and age, reuse is like, love the low waste lifestyle, and we're learning to reuse more all the time, and, we can save a lot of money. He's this guy, Aussie Stoner, so I've got a question that is very hard to answer.
Okay.
So I don't know, mate. You can fire away. I might put it across or I might not. Depends what it is, but give it a shot, mate, and we might be able to help you out there, brother. We've got Rael Golden. Most of the time I feed my worms bananas because it's easy to break down. Should I feed them something else too? We do predominantly been a worm farming show here for so long, so I'm going to answer that for you. Yes, feed them a wide variety of food as much as you can. Don't overfeed. Anything from old manures to anything that's organic, they will eat it. Just stay away from sort of onion and things like that. They'll still eat the onion, but they'll go for it last. And yeah, just less is more. And get them a wide variety of foods if you can. But bananas is really good for the baby worms when they're first coming out. So hopefully that answered your question for you. Here's a good one. Is indoor growing with light sustainable? I'm going to answer. I'll go first, Mike, and then you can go after me if you've got anything to add to it. Now, you really need to be, you've got to be following this stuff all the time to have a really good answer for you, mate. But at the moment, I would say no, because they haven't got the solar technology down right. And this is what I'm following at the moment and moving into. I'm actually speaking with a company at the moment, and I'll give away a little bit of a breaking tip here. Not a breaking tip, but a bit of behind-the-scene news. I'm talking with a company to do with hydroponics and sustainable farming long-term, but we have an issue with solar. This is our biggest problem at the moment, and everywhere that you look around, you speak to these big farmers, what's the biggest problem that you have to solve? And they're going, power. So until they get the power right, it's not sustainable because they're using too much power. But the sustainability falls into more of having the food local, using less sprays and chemicals, and being able to have less shelf life and traveling. So it does cut out a lot of food miles, but that's about. I'm sure Mike's got something else to say. He's been using lights off and on and knows a friend of his who was selling lights. So yeah, can you help with that question, Mike?
Yeah, no, I mean, if people see, there's all different levels of growing. Like people just start, if they're just starting out, there and everyone, there's people that do traditional, there's people that do, organic. There's different levels of gardening and what you want to, put into it and get out of it, or if you want to be a purist. So, some people just want to grow some food.
Yeah.
So, as far as it being, sustainable, I don't think it is, long run unless we get like solar, wind, all our green energy, going. Some people do a lot of it, like the cracky stuff, we do all that off grid. But a lot of people are out there telling me they grow up north and here in the States, they have like 3 or 4 months that they can grow. And then
Yeah.
it's just too cold, to grow. And then, very short days. And this year we had a heat wave. Up there where it was too cold, it was actually 100 degrees during the summer. So they really didn't have any kind of growing season. But if you keep your house like 78 degrees Fahrenheit or anything, you can grow plants in there.
Yeah.
So, some people, they just want to grow. They don't know if it's, sustainable or not. I don't believe, it is, throwing a bunch of halogen light bulbs, but now the technology, they're coming with the LED grow lights. They're getting a lot better. They're getting more efficient. So I think they're heading in the right direction.
There's a company called Mr. Stacky. He's an Aussie guy, and they do vertical towers. They do an organic system, and they've got a hydroponic system. They both grow on these towers that stack together, and he's got a solar system. I nearly bought one. There's 3 towers you can get, and I was going to do an organic one and a hydroponic one and compare them together, but it's just too much money to outlay to do that type of thing. But they've had it running for quite some time, and it runs 3 smart farms, 1 solar panel outdoors. So no electricity, no hooked up. So to me, that's sustainable. If I'm looking at these systems that I'm at the moment, and we're talking about solar panels, at the moment it's hard to get the solar panels consistently. And to keep them consistently running isn't too much of an issue in Australia, but certain countries, they don't get the sunlight all year round. And so they need other ways to generate power, which is going to come to us. We're on this revolution of changing the energy systems. So once the battery powers come down a lot better and we can store solar energy and wind energy more efficiently, I think these systems will come into play and be much more sustainable. And I like the concept of, okay, right, in, say, some parts of Canada where it's very cold and we can't grow all year round, but we can run a cheaper LED light, like you were saying. It can be cheaper to run than a fridge, and you can have a vertical garden growing, and you can be producing enough, on a very small space, producing enough for a family of 4, say, that's cheaper to run than a fridge. You're not getting in the car, running out and buying all that sort of food that, like that's been running around on trucks everywhere. It's been handled by lots of different people. You don't know where your food's come from. And there's all these food miles attached to it, and then you're getting an inferior product. I think that just overrides it all. And as we get better at what we're doing, then it's an exciting future, I believe. But I still think everyone, I'm not that type of person to say you're right and wrong. That's why I put that question up there, because we need to have these little mini debates and people need to put their opinion across. And so that's what makes the world tick and go around and helps things progress. So that's just my opinion, my thoughts on it. And anyway, we don't want to drift away too much because we're talking cheap and easy today. And I think we're at tip number 10. And we've got 26 people watching, 35 thumbs up. We've got the 1 thumbs down, 35 to 1. That's not too bad. And I always do the Aussie Bushranger cowboy thumbs up. And ask for some more thumbs up. We've got our guest on, if you come in late, Mike Van Doozy from The Grow, your channel.
Mike, keep on growing with Mike Van Doozy.
I put him on the spot there, guys. He wasn't ready for that.
I was getting all excited with that.
It's a Josephine Sam,
Yeah.
Yeah, the thumbs up. And so Mike from Keep On Growing. And look, if you're into sort of learning something new and want to see something new, there's a link on the channel, or they can just type in Keep On Growing channel. Would that come up if they type that into YouTube, Mike? What do they type in to see?
Yeah, Keep On Growing. You know what? If you do Mr. Doozy 1, Mr. Duzee1, it'll pop up. There's a long story to that, but I was tagging everything with that. If you go out into Google and everything, I'm Mr. Doozy One, or keep
Yeah.
on growing.
Or keep on growing. That's nice and easy to remember. And yeah, Mike's a long-time friend of mine, and we've been talking a while about getting on together and doing some shows together. And here we are. So if you're digging the show, please let us know in the comments box, because we'd love to hear from you. If you're enjoying the content, that you're getting some value from it, and if you would like to see them again, I would really love to hear that. And I'm going to bring some people across here, and they've been just firing away, and just say g'day to everyone. There's a guy in the USA that uses old clothes and shoes to grow plants instead of binning. Yeah, that's really cool. Even like handbags. I've seen people put handbags on the fence, hang off the strap of the handbag and put a plant in it.
Really? Nice.
It's really fun. And so what about low wattage LEDs? Maybe you can answer that, Mike, why I put some of these comments across.
Cool. Got a super chat too, right?
Have I? Oh, we'll have to get to that then. So we go to this one. If you can answer that question, what about low wattage LEDs? What's your thoughts on those, please?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about it because it's the one problem we had with hydroponics when I first started was lighting, that you needed a lot of light. There's nothing like the sun. Even on a cloudy day, the sun is giving off a lot of energy. So if you can grow outside, you can, it's optimum. But if you try to grow inside, what seems bright to us is not really, all the energy that the plants need. So what they would do with hydroponics is they'd have tons of lights, bright lights, halogen lights, and things that would give off a lot of heat. So it'd be really tough to, get them close enough to your plant without burning your plants, and you'd have to raise them, and then when we got into the LED technology, it gives off a very low amount of heat, and you can put a lot more bulbs in it. And they're also getting into the different spectrums, that plants only need like the red and blue spectrums. That's why lots of the grow houses look purple now.
Yeah.
So they're not wasting a lot of energy producing all the different, spectrum is just the red and blue.
Yeah.
So the LEDs you can do that with, and an incandescent bulb you can't.
Yeah, cool. Hey, let's just cut you short for a second there. I'm just going to give a quick applause. Aussie Stoners channel. We've got the fake audience behind us here, the happy kids. I reckon there's about 20 of them.
Fake.
We love them. And thank you so much. Sorry it took me a while there to get that across, Aussie Stoners channel. Thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. If anyone else wants to throw in a super chat, it's right there below in the comments box. Any small amount is highly appreciated. You have an awesome weekend, my friend. And we'll see you at the next show, probably.
Yes, thank you.
Let's bring on Art with Keely V. In Alaska, they are making new energy sources because of lack of sun. They're using seaweed and salt water. Just heard of it. Don't know about it. Very interesting, Keely. Thanks for sharing that with us. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Anything to do with making new energy. What's this say here? Actually, that's the Wiggles. Yeah, all right. The Wiggles. The Wiggles. It's the Australian little kids band. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're pretty cool. Good on you guys. So unreal to have everyone here. As I said, we've got Mike from the Great. I always get got Mike Fantuzzi here. And we're having a great chat, and good long time friend, and we're having a great time, and hopefully you've got a lot of value from this channel so far, and a lot of value from this show so far, and you'll get a lot more and plenty coming over to Mike's as well. And look, it's just unreal to see you all here. And look, enjoying the show, let us know in the comments box. We'd love to hear from you, and if you'd love to see Mike on the show again, let us know also, because we're looking for votes to see if we should let Mike come or go. What do you reckon, guys? This is Mike. That's what I reckon. I reckon yes. My vote's yes.
I only got one thumbs down so far.
That was for me for sure, because they say laugh on signal, because I got it all scripted. See out in front of me there? Go right, laugh, put on the applause button. We got Terry Browning. Great show, came in late, but must watch the whole show later. Please do, because we're always on the reruns. And it's been a lot of fun, and we've been enjoying it. Now we've got a question here. Can you feed your plant organic fertilizer to worms to make it easier to break down and feed until it's your plan? I would recommend No, I wouldn't waste your money. Just go with scrap food that you're throwing out. Keely, Mike's wife, she's a worm farmer as well. And we just throw out whatever you got. Just don't overfeed. Save your money. And look, if you want to throw in a bit of fertilizer, get a bit of rock dust. There's the latest video on that. You'll check that video out, and that will help not only your worm farm, but your plants as well. So that's the way to go. Let's go. Next time, pin the link to the top of the chat, Marty. Yeah, we're in a bit of a rush today, and I normally do that, my friend, but we wanted to get Mike on the show, and we weren't sure how it was going to run. First time bringing someone on live in this software, so thanks so much. And look, we've been going for a bit over an hour now, so we're probably not going to stay here too much longer. It's getting late there for Mike. It must be, what, 10 o'clock, is it, Mike, there?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. Did you have your dinner, mate, already?
Not yet. I just got home from work, had to run some errands for the wife, so I was, I just popped in right, at that 15-minute mark to get things set up, and we still didn't get it right. I still sound a little muffled, I think. Yeah.
No, it's coming across okay for me, but I think it's more just, it was mostly the reverb from my microphone, which is right in front of the speakers here. And what we normally do here, Mike, is I run a little bit of a rollout, like a little rollout song, the theme song, and we just say goodbye to the crew and stuff like that. But before we do that, we just get everyone to say goodbye to everyone. So please say goodbye. Let us know what your favourite tip was, if you can remember, because there was so many, right? My favourite one was the recycled containers that Mike had, and one for the microgreens, and putting that egg carton stuff and making a paper mache out of it. I reckon that's like a super recycling method. And if you've got worm farm, you could sprinkle a little bit of worm castings on that, and that would really help as well. All right, so start saying goodbye to everyone, guys, in here. Heaps of people that are friends in here. And we just don't want to bail out and just all of a sudden you're gone, because I know you're making some great friendships in here at the same time. It's all about the community, bringing it together. And it's really exciting. And if you'd like to know when I'm going to be on the Mike Van Doozy show, I keep saying, but it's getting that wrong all the time. Right, if you want to see me over at Mike's channel, then let us know, and I will give you a bit of a thing to let you know that it's good. And he should, look, such a cool name. But what we're going to do just before we go, right, I'm just going to give you another look at Mike's channel here before you go, and so you can have a look at what you normally see. Be the change. That's his t-shirt there. Easy Hydroponics, teaching the world how to grow, and a big library of really simple hydroponic gardening for small space gardeners. And if you want to be like me and mix it up a little bit and do a bit of both, do that. And if you want to go sort of more organic with it, you might want to waste a bit of money. No, I'm just kidding. If you've got a bit of extra money, then maybe you might want to do this. But just wait until I run the trials and see how that goes. So, yeah, there's Mike's channel there. And like I said, long-time friend, great guy, and really awesome content. Highly recommended. And you very rarely see me recommend content on this channel for that reason. Now, we're just going to put across some of the comments here. While everyone starts saying goodbye to each other, we put on some music. We've got the song. Oh, wrong one. I was supposed to put the music on. That's the one. What an awesome day today it was. Like, this is a killer show, man. Mike, you're a champion.
Oh, cool. Thank you, Scott.
We'll bring him across. Hang on. Let's bring him across.
All the birds are making homes inside the evergreen.
Off to do takeaway.
The air is clear with our loved ones close. You can pick out every star without a telescope. So beautiful to see how we have changed. In time, you know, everything we've lost comes on again, and I will grab onto your arm a little stronger than we were before. I've missed your face. Has it been that long? Look looking forward to a fire and a sing-along. Let's stay the same as the children grow and teach them all the simple things we thought we used to know. So beautiful to see how we have changed.
All right, thank you so much for coming to watch the show. We still have, how many people here? 22 people here. We've got 38 thumbs up at the end of the show. We've been running for an hour and a half. Actually, probably one of my favourite YouTubers, Mike from Keep On Growing. He is
you're
here.
my favorite too.
And we've been, we're really good buddies. And a lot of people don't know that. So hopefully we'll have Mike back on the show. We got a lot of votes there. A lot of people said it was great to have guests. So I think, would you be happy to come back on another show, Mike?
Yeah, I sure would. I'd love to.
Unreal. Mate, I'll be stoked to have you on here. Thank you so much for coming and joining us and sharing your valuable knowledge and your time with us all. It's truly appreciated. You have a great day, everyone. Happy gardening. And I'll get Mike to say goodbye now, and then I will finish up.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for stopping in. And if we brought you any value, if you learned anything and you start to grow food and you enjoy it, just pass that knowledge on to other people too. Like I said, we can't feed the world, but we can teach the world how to feed itself.
Awesome. Unreal, Mike. Have a great day, man. We'll catch you soon.
You too.
See you guys. Bye.